My son shouted, "You don't need all that money. I have a family." That night, I called the bank and said one word, freeze. By morning, his cards stopped working. My name is Frank Novak. I am 73. 3 grandkids call me Pop. I worked 45 years as a union electrician, crawled through attics that smelled like old mice and hot dust, and saved the way my father taught me, a little every week no matter what. I am not rich, I am careful. Careful looks like this. You pay the light bill before the light is due. You buy the tool once, you oil it, and you put it back where it belongs. You do not spend money that will make you a liar. You keep your word, and when the matter is bigger than memory, you write it down. Dates, amounts, what it was for. Because paper is a better memory than feelings. You help family, but you help them stand. Money is not love. It is a tool. In the wrong hands it cuts. In the right place it holds shape. When my wife was alive, we made habits that outlasted us. Labels on envelopes by the phone, a ledger in the top drawer, loan written on big checks, a notary's stamp when it mattered. We put the grandchildren first in our plans, and we kept our names on what we paid for. We were slow to anger and fast to document. A closed door was not anger, it was a boundary. I live by small rules that do not bend. Earn before you spend. Bring a borrowed thing back cleaner than you took it. Raise your voice less than your standards. Fix what you can, and if you cannot, admit it and pay it square. These are simple things. They kept a roof over my head, food on my table, and my name good with the bank. Those same rules are why, on the night a man raised his voice in my kitchen and called himself my son, I reached for the ledger, then for the phone. The shouting started in my kitchen over the smell of garlic and butter. He did not say Dad. He did not say hi. He set the plates down hard and led with the demand. Pop, listen. You don't need all that money. He had brought my 2 youngest over for dinner, then sent them to the den so we could talk. Their cartoons bled through the wall in little bursts. His eyes were not on me. They were on the envelopes by the phone, electric, water, insurance, stacked the way I stack them every month. Say hello to your kids first, I said. He glanced toward the hallway. I have a family, he said, quieter, like reason now, not force. You don't need all that money. What is it you need exactly? I asked. He spread his hands. Breathing room. I'm drowning here, and you're sitting on all this. His chin tipped at the envelopes as if I had piled bricks there to spite him. The envelopes keep the lights on, I said. He smiled the way men do when they think they have found the angle. You can spare it. You always could. The words landed like a soft hammer, not because I had never heard them, because I knew what came next if I let them pass. The reframe into duty, the small lie about timing, the promise of Friday that means never. I made dinner, I said. Eat with your kids. He pushed the chair back with his knee and did not sit. I did not come for spaghetti, Pop. And I did not invite a bill, I said. He blinked, surprised I had said it plain. He looked around my kitchen like the room should take his side. The clock ticked once, loud. You'll help. You always do, he said, lighter now, as if we were trading lines in a skit we both knew. I help children, I said. I keep promises. I do not fund fires. He licked his lips. So that is a no? That is a boundary. He huffed, but the puff did not move anything. He reached for the ledger drawer out of habit and caught himself. You're being ridiculous. I am being careful, I said. He made a sound that wanted to be a laugh and came out thin. Old wood snapping in the sun. He waited for me to fold. I did not. I rinsed my plate, shut off the light over the sink, and walked him to the door. From the hallway I heard the cartoon voices stop and the small scrape of chair legs. Is Daddy leaving? One of them called. Say good night to your grandfather, he said without turning. Good night, Pop, the little one called. I kept my eyes on the latch as I answered, steady. When the door clicked, The house held its breath the way a body does after bad news. I stood in the dim and let the quiet settle until it was only quiet, not threat. I have folded before. I have handed over 20s to buy peace and found the peace cost more. My wife used to touch my wrist when I was about to make that mistake. She is gone. The wrist still remembers. I looked at the envelopes by the phone and at the drawer with the ledger. I thought about what money is supposed to do: keep the roof, buy the bread, mark the promise. In the wrong hands it cuts. Tonight I felt where the cut would land if I did nothing. I dried the plate, put it in its place, and made a small decision. Boundaries are not anger. They are doors that close so the house can rest. The first time he asked me for help was 12 years ago. Rain on the hood, a tow yard that smelled like wet rubber. "Just until Friday, Pop," he said, one hand on the useless truck, the other on my shoulder like we were teammates. I remember thinking how young he still looked when he asked for help, even though he had a mortgage and a baby on the way. I told him yes. He promised Friday. He brought back $200 and a smile that said we were square. The next ask came on a Sunday with the game on mute. Just this once. Then a month later. Then it was Christmas. Then it was July. Those requests were not storms. They were rust. They ate slowly and quietly, and by the time you saw the orange, the metal underneath was thin. I kept a ledger. I wrote down what I gave and why. It calmed me to see the numbers sit still on paper when everything else felt slippery. My wife used to tap the margin and say, "When we forget, this will remember." In 2014, it was $2,300 to fix the transmission. He paid back only $200 from it. In 2016, it was $5,000 for the down payment when my daughter-in-law lost her job. He paid back $0. In 2019, $9,300 for roof repair after hail. Paid back $0. In 2020, $1,200 when the baby came early and they needed a new crib and car seat. In 2021, $28,400 to save the house from foreclosure. We signed a note with 3% interest. Paid back, still $0. In 2022, $4,900 to start a small landscaping business. I got back only a mower in my garage with a dead battery. In 2023, $7,800 for moving costs, while they never moved. Before last night, the total came to almost $60,000. And that's not counting groceries and small things. Small things add up. Small things are where the rust works hardest. The entries are numbers, but I can see the scenes. The 2016 down payment was the afternoon I helped them carry a second-hand crib up a narrow stairwell. He joked the stairwell was built for cats, not people. In 2020, when the baby came early, I sat on the floor with an Allen wrench at 2 a.m, turning wood that squeaked and refusing to wake the house. He slept in a chair. I tucked the receipt in the ledger and wrote gift in the corner like a prayer. When my wife was alive, we made rules that were really promises to ourselves. We let the kids put one emergency card on my account. Authorized users, not owners. Use it when the tire blows or the furnace quits. I owned the account, and I could switch it off at any time. We set up education accounts for the grandkids, labeled in her handwriting, books and tuition. We wrote loan on the big checks. We notarized when we could, because paper is a better memory than feelings. She would sit at the kitchen table after dinner, lay out the envelopes, and say, "We help with a rope, not a blanket over their eyes." I thought it sounded harsh until I learned how soft a rope can be when it is tied to something solid. Last month I saw a new pattern, not an emergency and not a need. Charges at midnight, not groceries, not diapers, not school. Restaurants I cannot pronounce. A boutique with candles that cost more than my light bill for the month. One night past 10, my phone lit up 3 times in a row. The same store, 1 minute apart, small amounts to test the door. I sat there with the ledger open and felt nothing burn. The anger that rose in me was winter, cold, clean, and it woke me up. I thought about a different night years ago, when he was 7 and I showed him how to coil an extension cord in figure eights so it would not kink. "There," I said, and he grinned at the neat bundle in his hands. "Order keeps things from tangling." I remembered that, looking at the midnight charges. I pictured the cord thrown in a heap, the knots tightening with every pull. So when he shouted in my kitchen, I did not argue. I had already had the argument with myself, alone at the table, counting rust by the light of a phone. Morning came clear and thin. I boiled water, buttered toast, and stood at the sink watching the maple flicker like a deck of cards in the wind. The doorbell rang before 8. He did not text first. He came alone, jacket unzipped, a paper coffee cup held like a pass. "Pop," he said, and this time he used the word like it could unlatch me. "About last night." "Come in," I said, and set another mug on the table. Steam made a small cloud between us. He did not sit. He looked at the envelopes by the phone, then at me, then back at the envelopes as if the paper could be argued with. "I need help." "Today." It got rough at the grocery after I left. I was short. They put things back in front of the kids. I'm not asking for a lot, just enough to breathe. "How much is enough?" I asked. He rolled his shoulders, buying time. "Whatever you can spare." "Spare is not a number," I said. "What is due today?" He blinked like I had changed the question. "Gas. Groceries. There's a fee on the checking account now, which is insane. And the light bill is a mess, but I'll take care of that Friday." "What do gas and groceries cost at your house on a Wednesday?" I asked. He shifted his weight. 400. He watched my face. "Well, maybe 6. 8 to be safe." I waited. When a man does not love specifics, he talks to fill the quiet. He filled it. "I'm drowning here," he said. "I work. You know I work. I just need a bridge." He lifted the coffee cup but did not drink. The cup had gold lettering from a downtown place where the lids snap like Tupperware. It looked like the cups on my credit statement from last month. The smell of his cologne set in the air, woods and something sweet I could not name, the kind that lasts after the door closes. He was 38 and still handsome in the way that hurts a man who does not like to be told no. Easy smile, good shoulders, a laugh built to bounce off restaurant walls. When he was 7, he used to race ahead on the sidewalk and then stop, look back, and wait for us to catch up so he could pretend he had never left. I thought about that now, how waiting and pretending can grow into a skill if it gets rewarded. "The kids," he said, dropping the word like a key. "They're not getting what they need." "This is for them. Say their names," I said. He did, a little surprised. He said each one and then the oldest again, softer. "Good," I said. "Now tell me what they need today." "Lunch money, diapers, shoes. It's everything, Pop. It is a pile." My thumb found the groove in the table my wife wore smooth over years of resting her teacup there. She used to say, "We help with a rope, not a blanket over the eyes." I heard her voice and not the words, the way she would stack the envelopes, the way she would laugh when the kids spilled milk and then put a towel in their hands so they learned to wipe it up. "Sit," I said, and he did, but only halfway, a perch, ready to spring. "When your truck died in the rain," I said, "you put your hand on my shoulder like a teammate and said, 'Just until Friday.' Do you remember?" "Of course I do," he said, eager now, as if agreement would open the drawer with the ledger. "And when Mr. Klein told you to restack the shingles the summer you worked with me, you threw the gloves and walked to the curb." I could see the street again, hot and quiet, the gloves where they fell. "You told me you did not sign up to be talked to like that. I told you to pick up the gloves and finish the day. You did. You were red with anger, but you finished. You came home and slept 11 hours like a boy who had done a man's day." He looked at the table. "That was years ago." "It was yesterday," I said. "Habits age slower than we think." He reached for the ledger drawer and stopped himself, the old reflex showing itself like a fish in the shallows. "I did not come for a lecture," he said, voice getting tight. "I came because you are sitting on money you do not need, and I am trying to keep 3 small people fed." "I will always feed my grandchildren," I said. "That is not the same as handing you unmarked money." He narrowed his eyes. "What is the difference? Food is food. Shoes are shoes. A bill with a date on the top is a bill. Whatever you can spare is a hole you can never fill." He stood up, sat down. The coffee went cold. "So what are you saying?" "No." "I am saying boundary," I said, and his mouth flattened like it had last night. "I am saying I will meet needs, not wants, and I will not meet them through you. Bring me receipts. Bring me the list the school sends home. Bring me a size for shoes. I will take the kids to the store, or their mother. Not you." He laughed once, short. "You do not trust me to buy groceries?" "I do not trust the man who bought candles at midnight to buy bread at noon," I said. He flinched like I had thrown the candle. "That was a gift," he said. "You think I am a thief now?" "I think you are a man who has learned that emergency sounds like a key," I said. "I think you use it too often." We sat in the quiet. The maple outside scratched the window. I thought about the night we brought him home from the hospital, how my wife tucked him into a dresser drawer because the crib was not built yet and we were too tired to care. He slept with his fists up like a fighter, and I stayed awake to make sure the drawer did not slide shut. I have been guarding against sliding doors since. He stood. "I did not come to be insulted." "Then leave uninsulted," I said. "Take the list. Write down the exacts. Shoes, sizes, lunch for a week. Bring it back and I will make sure it gets handled. But the drawer is closed." He looked at the list I had pulled from the drawer, a blank sheet and a pen, as if it were a trick. He put his hands in his pockets instead. The pockets made a crisp sound. New denim. New or new to him, I could not tell. "I will figure it out," he said, the pride word that always cost him. "You can," I said. "And when you cannot, we will do it by the numbers, not by the rush." He turned toward the hall. The pictures watched him go. "The one of him at 7 with the fish is crooked. I have been meaning to fix it." At the door he hesitated, like a man deciding whether to say something that will live longer than he wants it to. He chose to be silent. The door closed. I stood in the quiet until it was just quiet. I washed the mugs. I dried the counter. I looked at the envelopes and the ledger and the blank paper with no list on it. Where is the reason in all this, I asked myself, and the answer was not legal. It was simple. He hates the part of life that is waiting and measuring. He is good at the sprint and bad at the map. He is my son. I love him. And love that works is a rope tied to something solid, not a hand pulling both of us into the same river. That night I finished my decision. I would stop the misuse, protect the children directly, and separate his wants from their needs. He would keep the debt and start paying it down at a pace he could sustain, but the easy access would end. Soon, he will face the consequences of his actions, and I'll bring the justice on him. But before I tell you what happens next, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. You won't believe what happens next. Next morning, I left before 9 with the ledger in a manila folder and my wife's old pen clipped to the flap. The sky had that thin blue you get when the weather cannot decide. I parked by the lawyer's office, fed the meter, and sat for a minute with the engine off, hands on the wheel. I was not angry. I was done drifting. Ms. Park's waiting room smelled like coffee and new carpet, a bowl of mints, a magazine nobody reads. She waved me in, closed the door, and let me lay it all out on her desk. The notes, the ledger, the list of midnight charges with circles around the worst of them. "Okay," she said. "We will keep this simple." My phone started buzzing face down on the wood. Once, twice, 3 times. I slid it silent, but the light kept jumping. "Take a moment if you need," she said. "I will look after," I said. She scanned a page, drew a neat line under a date, and nodded. "We can protect the grandchildren directly, limit his access, and give him a clear path to repair." Clean. Calm. The phone lit again. A text from him first. "You cannot do this." Then another. "You are confused." Then, "Mom would not let you." Then, "If you cut me out, I will cut you out of seeing them." Then a picture from a grocery line, my granddaughter's shoes in the frame, a basket on the counter, the caption short, "This is on you." A voicemail hit next, his voice sharp. "Pick up the phone." "I am not playing. Give me my card back or I swear I'm coming over right now and we are going to have a problem. I will call the police and tell them you're taking my money. I will tell them you have dementia." "Don't make me do that." Ms. Park watched me watch the screen. "He is escalating," she said, not unkindly. "He is," I said. "He learned that loud can move a man." She tapped her pen once, then slid a paper across. "Sign here to put the decision-making where it already belongs. The accounts for the kids, in your control and their mothers, not his. Grocery restrictions. And an update that clarifies your intentions so there is no confusion later." We signed. The notary came in, stamped out. The seal made its little circle. On my way to the bank, he called again, new number. I let it go to voicemail. "Last chance," he said. "If you don't fix this, I'm calling your union hall. I'm going to tell everyone you're losing it. I'll put it on Facebook. Don't test me." At a red light, another text. This time a photo of my driveway taken from the street. No words. The clock on the dash said 9:58. I pulled into the bank lot and sat there long enough to watch two people walk in and one come out. The banker knows my voice and my face. He took me into a small room with glass walls and a plant that did not need water. "Morning, Mr. Novak," he said. "We can do what you asked last night and a bit more. We completed the freeze last night. Today we'll tighten controls and confirm his online view is removed. We will make sure only the right people can see what they need to see." "Good," I said. "I want groceries for the kids to work. I want candles to bounce." We went line by line, not as lawyers, just as people. He respected the ledger. He respected that I knew dates. My phone, turned face down on the table, shivered again and again. "You can take that," the banker said, half smiling. "I will when I have something worth saying," I said. When we were finished, I stood up and the room felt bigger. On the way out, my phone buzzed with a call from my daughter-in-law. I picked up. "I'm sorry to bother you at work," she said, rushed. "He is upset. He left just now. Before he went, he reached for the spare key on our kitchen hook, but I took it back and put it away. I'm sorry we kept it there." "Thank you for calling," I said. "Take the kids to school. Use the grocery card today. It will work. If he comes back yelling, call me, then call the non-emergency number. Do not argue. I am so tired," she said, and I heard the baby on her hip, the sound of a car door closing. "I don't want the kids to see him like this." "They will see you steady," I said. "That will matter." At the exit, another text from him. "I'm on my way to you. Do not lock the door. We are settling this." I drove home the long way without hurry. The maple in front of my house moved in that indecisive wind. I parked across the street to look. Nothing broken. No car. My spare key under the fake rock was where I had left it. I moved it to a place only I would remember. The security light over the garage had burned out. I screwed in a new bulb. I unlocked my front door, walked through each room, and let the house see me. He arrived 20 minutes later, hard brake in the driveway, loud door slam. He came fast up the walk, jaw set. He yanked the handle. It was locked. He knocked with his fist, 3 short hits. "Open up," he said. I opened. The chain stayed on. "What do you think you are doing?" he said, voice already too big for the porch. "You shut off my card and now I'm being laughed at in front of my kids." "You think that makes you a man?" "Lower your voice," I said, and stepped back from the door. He looked up at the chain, at me, at the little camera above the frame that blinks when it wants to be seen. He took exactly one step back. "You will give me access," he said. "Now, or I am calling the police and telling them you are unstable. I will tell them you are keeping my money. I will tell them you hit me." He lifted his hand a little, the kind of gesture that means, "Watch me make a mess." "Do not lie," I said. "You cannot prove it is a lie." "I can," I said, and let that sit. "But I will not argue on a porch. If you have a bill for the kids, I will pay it to the store. If you have a list for groceries, I will go with their mother. You will not touch my accounts again." He laughed once. "You think you can control me like I am a teenager." "I think you can control yourself like you are a father," I said. He took in a breath that wanted to be a shout and turned it into words. "You cut me off. You cut yourself off. Birthdays, holidays, you will not see them. That is not your call to make alone," I said. "And if you try to make it, you will answer for that." He stared past me into the hall where the pictures hang. He knows the one I will not take down. Him at 7 with the fish, proud and gap-toothed. His face softened for a second and then hardened again like wet concrete forced into a mold. "Last chance," he said. "Give me the card." "No," I said. He leaned forward, close enough for me to see the stubble he missed shaving and smell that cologne that stays after the door closes. "You think I won't go to the bank? You think I don't know your birthday, your numbers? I'll fix this myself." "You will try," I said, "and you will be told no." His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and cursed under his breath. Declined. 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 He jabbed the side button and shoved it back in his pocket. "You did this," he said. "I did," I said, "because I am done letting you use emergencies to pick my pocket." He put his hand on the door like he might push. The chain held. He looked at it. He looked at me. Then he stepped back again, a full step this time. "This is not over," he said. "It is not," I said. "It is just starting to be right." He walked off the porch. At the car he turned. "I will make you pay for this." "You are already paying," I said. $50 a week starting Friday. Bring a receipt." He gave me that laugh that once filled rooms and now could not fill a porch. He got in his car and left hard. Tires a sound I have heard from him since he was 17. When the quiet came back, it had more weight to it. I closed the door, slid the chain, and stood there with my hand on the wood. I thought about my wife setting down her teacup in the same place, about my son at 7 asleep in a dresser drawer because the crib was not built yet. I am not punishing a boy. I am holding a man to a line. The threats made it harder. They did not make me wrong. By noon, the noise went public. A cousin called first. "Are you okay?" "He's saying you're not well." Then a neighbor sent a screenshot of his post. A few sentences about an unstable old man cutting off his own grandkids' food. I did not answer online. I took a photo of the post with the time and saved it next to his voicemails. 20 minutes later, a cruiser rolled up slow and stopped at the curb. 2 officers stepped onto my porch with careful eyes, the way people walk into a room where someone might be hurt. "Mr. Novak?" "We got a request to do a wellness check," the older one said. "Mind if we talk a minute?" "Come in," I said. I set out 2 chairs and a glass of water because manners do not take a day off. "I'm fine." I had a disagreement with my son about money. He went to the internet. I handed them my ID, then my phone with the texts, the voicemail where he said he would tell them I had dementia, and the screenshot of his post. They listened. They looked around the tidy kitchen, at the labeled envelopes by the phone, at the ledger open on the table with dates and amounts. The younger officer pointed once. "That your grandson?" At the photo of a gap-toothed boy with a fish. "That is him?" I said. 31 years ago. The older officer nodded. "You seem steady to me, sir." "We'll note it." He handed me a small card with his name and the incident number. "If the online stuff gets ugly, save it." "Already doing that," I said. Their radios cracked once. They left with a polite, "Have a good afternoon," and a look that said they have seen real trouble, and this was not it. An hour later, my doorbell pinged on my phone. Not the front, the side. The garage camera woke up to his face. He did not ring. He rolled the mower out like it was his, then took my red toolbox by the handle, head down, cap low. He glanced up once, right into the lens, the way people do when they feel watched and are not sure why. The timestamp marched across the bottom, 2:17 p.m. I drove back from the hardware store slow, watching for him. Mrs. Ellis from next door met me halfway up the walk, gardening gloves still on. "He was in your garage," she said, upset and whispering anyway. "I called your name, but he was gone." "I have it on camera," I said. "Thank you for looking." Inside, I printed a still frame. I wrote the date and time under it. I set the picture beside the ledger and the officer's card and stared at the three of them until they lined up in my head. Lie, theft, threat. I dialed his number. He did not pick up. I sent one text. "Return the mower and the red toolbox by 6. Or I file a report." No discussion. The phone rang instead. My daughter-in-law, breathless. "He told the kids you took their food," she said. "He said they will not see you until you act right. They're crying." I do not know what to say. "Tell them Pop is cooking tonight," I said. "Tell them the grocery card still works and we will use it together. Bring the list. I will meet you at 5 at the store and we will shop. I will walk them through the aisles. They will see what food looks like." Silence, then a soft exhale. "Thank you," she said. "They miss you." "I am not going anywhere," I said. "If he tries to get between us, call me first and then the non-emergency number. Do not argue with him." After we hung up, I called the school. I asked for the secretary I have known since the oldest started kindergarten. "I want to make sure pickup permissions are clear," I said. "Their mother and I. Not him, not today." She checked the file, made a note, and thanked me for the heads up. At 4, another message from him. "You're done. No more birthdays." Then a photo of the kids' backpacks on a bench and a line meant to hurt. "Tell them you took their bread." I did not tell them that. I met them by the apples. We put bread and milk and the right cereal in the cart. The card worked, same as I said it would. At the register, I let the oldest swipe it. She smiled like she had done a grown thing. In the parking lot, I loaded bags and told them I'd see them Saturday for homework and grilled cheese. Their mother squeezed my arm once, tired and grateful. Back home, the driveway was empty. No mower, no toolbox. 6 o'clock came. 6:10. At 6:15, a car door slammed. He walked up the path with his chin high and no equipment in sight. "You think you can threaten me into doing laps for you?" he said, standing on my step. "You embarrassed me in front of my kids. You called the cops on me. You turned their mother against me." "I did not call anyone on you," I said. "You sent them to me. You sent the world to me, and you sent yourself into my garage." I held up the still frame. "Return what you took." Tonight, he glanced at the photo and looked away too fast. "That is my mower," he said. "I paid for it." "You paid for it with a story about a business you never started," I said. "It has sat in my garage with a dead battery for a year. The toolbox is mine from 1982. Bring them back. Or tomorrow morning I take this picture and the officer's card and your messages to the desk, and we start a different kind of conversation." He opened his mouth to say something cruel about birthdays. then noticed the grocery receipt on my table. He read the line items without touching it. Milk, bread, apples, pasta. His eyes moving left to right like a man counting what he cannot argue with. "You went without me," he said, quieter now. "I went with your children," I said. "Because you used them as a shield and told them a lie." "That ends." He stared at me and at the camera above the door, a small red blink that had seen him once today and would see him again if he tried. He swallowed. "You want your mower? Fine. You want your toolbox? Fine. But you do not get to talk to me like I am." "Like you are a man who crossed my line?" I said. "You are. Here is the simple truth. You lied about me. You tried to scare me. You took what was not yours. You put your children in the middle. The line is not moving." He looked past me at the photo of the boy with the fish. His jaw worked. He nodded once that was not a nod and walked back to the car. 8 o'clock, I said to his back. "I will be on the porch." He did not answer. The car left. The quiet came back, and this time it did not shake me. I set the officer's card on top of the still frame and the receipt on top of the ledger. I was ready to say everything out loud. It was no longer about justice. There will be revenge now. The next conversation will be the last before I lock every door he can still reach, and I'm going to deliver the consequences of his decisions. At 8, I sat on the porch with the porch light on and the photo from my garage camera in my hand. He was late. When he finally pulled in, he came up the walk with empty hands. "Where is it?" I asked. "Relax," he said. "You're not calling the cops over a lawnmower. I'm calling because you walked into my garage and took what isn't yours." I dialed the non-emergency line and asked for an officer to swing by. The same older officer from the wellness check arrived with a partner. I showed them the still frame, his face, my side door, the time stamp. The officer didn't make a speech. He just looked at my son and said, "Let's get it back." They walked to his truck. He slid the mower down too hard and thunked the red toolbox onto the driveway. Mrs. Ellis, still in her garden gloves, watched from her mailbox. "Do you want to press charges?" the officer asked me. "Not tonight," I said, "but I want this clear. He doesn't come in my garage again. If he does, I will." The officer nodded and turned to my son. "You heard him." After they left, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote a short post for the people who had seen his story. I'm fine. There was a family money dispute. Police checked on me. I'm okay. This afternoon, property was taken and returned after a call. Going forward, I'm helping my grandkids directly. Food, shoes, school. No more back and forth online. I attached the photo and a picture of the officer's card, then turned off comments. Within minutes, a neighbor sent a heart, and a foreman from my old hall texted, "Good. You're sharp as ever." We had already shopped with the kids. The grocery card worked, the oldest swiped it, and everyone went home with bread and coats on the list. The next morning I stopped by the school with their mother. We sat in the small office and asked for pickups to be her and me for now. The principal made a note. "Thank you," she said. "This keeps things calm." Around noon he tried again on Facebook. Words like elder abuse and control. I didn't answer. 2 men I wired houses with did. Frank Novak is steady. Be better. The post vanished an hour later. That evening I asked him to meet me in a public place, the lobby at the station. No audience, no porch, no shouting. He came in tight-jawed and empty-handed. I didn't bring papers. I brought my voice. "Here's how this goes," I said. "Don't show up unannounced. Don't go in my garage. Don't use the kids to hit me. Don't talk about my health online. Your wife has the grocery card for the children. You will pay $50 a week on what you owe. When you bring me a receipt, I will match $50 into the kids' accounts. If you miss and you don't tell me ahead, I handle it. If you cross those lines, I call the police. No speeches, no second chances." "That's a lot of rules," he said. "That's what grown men live by," I said. He stared at the floor, then at the ceiling camera, then back at me. 50 a week? He asked, softer. Friday, I said. He lifted his phone and snapped a photo of the list I'd written on an index card. You made me look stupid, he said. You did that, I said. I stopped covering it. He left without slamming the door. That was new. Friday, a money order slid under my door. $50. No knock. I wrote received on the note, matched 50 into the education account, and texted him a photo of the deposit slip with 4 words. Be a father. Continue. His reply was 1 word. Okay. I am not naive. He will push again. But now the truth is out where it matters. The police know the shape of this. The school knows who picks up. And the neighbors know I am steady. The money is finally pointed where it belongs, and my name is still good. He cannot spend what he has not earned, and he cannot spend me. Later that evening I called the bank back. The freeze was already in place, and asked them to clean up the edges. They confirmed the extra cards were off, stopped a few automatic payments I flagged, and confirmed my son's online view was already removed. Anything else, Mr. Novak? The man asked. No, I said. That'll do. I set the phone down next to the ledger and slept. By morning my phone was hopping again. Declined at the pump, declined at the market, declined at a place with gold letters I recognized from last month. He called, tight and angry. What did you do? I stopped doing, I said. He went quiet, then tried blame that has worked before. I let it pass. The point had already been made. Before lunch I met my daughter-in-law again. Last night we'd already shopped with the kids. This second trip was to set up the deposits and top up basics. No speeches. We put the first small deposits aside for the kids, school and basics, and I handed her the grocery card that works only where food is sold. Then we took the children down the aisles and filled a cart that made sense. Bread, milk, rice, apples, peanut butter, socks from the rack by the pharmacy. At the register I let the oldest swipe the card. She stood a little taller after it beeped. In the parking lot we laughed about nothing important. It felt like a normal day. That is the goal. I did not chase anything online. People had already seen enough. A neighbor gave me a wave from across her yard. A foreman I used to wire houses with texted, good. You're steady. That was all the audience I needed. Then we settled into the weeks. On Friday, a money order slid under my door. $50. I wrote received beside the note and matched 50 into the kid's account. The next Friday he knocked, handed me the slip, and asked to see the deposit. I showed him. Week 3, same. Week 4, he texted at noon. Can't this week. Friday next. Sorry. He paid the following Friday without being chased. No drama. Just a rhythm. The results showed up in small ways that matter. The kids came by and new coats bought on sale. Field trip forms got signed on time. We ate grilled cheese at my table and argued about long division, not money. The grocery card kept working at grocery stores and nowhere else. No midnight charges, no candles. He tested the line once at dusk. He showed up with a story about a blown tire and held out his hand for whatever you can spare. Old script. I kept my voice low. Bring the bill, I said. We'll pay the shop, not you. He stared like he was deciding whether to make a scene. He didn't. He put his hands in his pockets and left without slamming the door. I noted the day in the margin of the ledger like a man jotting down the weather. No cash, no scene, line held. 2 days later we crossed paths in the school lot. He adjusted a backpack strap for his youngest and kept his eyes on his car. I walked the oldest to the office with a permission slip and 2 sharpened pencils. On the corkboard there was a photo from the canned goods drive. The 3 of them smiled from the middle row, their mother between them. I stood there a moment longer than a signature takes, then went home. Life in town went on. At the hardware store I ran into my old foreman near the bins of screws. He gave me a simple nod. Good to see you, Novak, he said, the way men say it when they mean, you're fine. That landed better than any argument I could make online. The numbers had a shape. He had paid 8 times, missed twice but told me before, and had not used the kids as a lever. When he called, it was for pickup times or a permission slip, not money. Each time he brought a receipt, I matched 50 into the kids' accounts. The pile grew in a way you can see and trust. Saturday afternoons got simple again. We rake the maple leaves into a pile, grill cheese in the cast iron, and argue about long division with pencil smudges on our hands. The youngest sits on my lap and learns to coil an extension cord in figure 8 so it will not knot. The oldest counts aloud as we drop change into 2 jars I labeled books and boots. After dinner we sand a birdhouse, and I let them press the nails in before I tap them home. Sometimes he stops by at pickup, quiet. He adjusts a backpack strap, hands me a money order without a speech, and helps stack the chairs. Last week he said thanks, like a word he had been practicing. I did not make it bigger than it was. I wrote received in the margin and showed the oldest the match to her account. We all looked at the number for a second and then moved on to hot chocolate. The house is calm. The children are fed. The line holds, and so do we. Is $50 a week and a match deposit a fair path back, or should I have pressed charges the moment he stepped into my garage? What would you do if you were me? Share your thoughts on this situation in the comments.
My grandpa's worst really happened. I believe him. If you want more true tales stories like this, hit subscribe.